News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
5:05 now on this Friday afternoon, just ahead of the For the People movie show. I'm Will Feelright in for Bill Walter. With the KVNU News Update, it's brought to you by Logan Extermination. Well, the Cache Valley Transit District has decided to reduce service due to labor shortages. The transportation company says it can't get drivers to fill open positions due to a lack of applicants. On Twitter and social media, CVTD officials posted that service reductions are in effect and will remain in effect until further notice. CVTD CEO Todd Butler said that they have 5 full-time driver positions open right now and 10 part-time driver positions. The transportation company has struggled in the past to find drivers. Back in 2008, when the stock market crashed, it saw similar driver shortages. The company does train drivers to help them secure the proper driver's license to operate their buses, but Butler is encouraging anyone who is looking for a job to apply. Well, coming up in just a minute, the impact that trains have had on Cache Valley. As we check that weather forecast, looking at increasing clouds as we head into the late afternoon hours, as we've been in the high 70s today. Tonight, we're going to drop into the low 50s with that chance of showers, thunderstorms beginning overnight tonight. That's going to continue with just a 20 to 30% chance of rain for Saturday, Sunday, and into the first of next week, as daytime temperatures are going to stay right around the mid-70s over the next few days. Overnight temperatures staying right around the high 40s to low 50s. Well, earlier this week, Utah marked the anniversary of driving the Golden Spike in Promontory, and that joined the Union Pacific and Central Pacific Railroads. The first transcontinental railroad was completed May 10th, 1869. Railroad historian Thornton Waite was a guest on KVNU's For the People show earlier this week. He said that many communities in northern Utah and southeast Idaho were accidentally developed by rail companies.
The railroads were built through Utah and Idaho to get to the West Coast. And then the railroads actually said, well, you know, this is good farmland. I mean, if it was irrigated, so they built the branch lines in southern Idaho. Irrigation came, and the railroads developed all those communities that you see now.
The companies also developed travel to Yellowstone National Park. They promoted the park because they wanted the passenger business, and they built the lines up to West Yellowstone specifically for the tourist trade. That brought dozens of passenger trains through the area en route to the park. Wade explained how the first railroad tracks in Logan was a narrow gauge line from Brigham City. The line wasn't built very well, though, because of a lack of money.
They were building lines from Ogden up to the Butte mines where there was gold and silver. No one really cared about copper at the time. It was built up to Franklin. They ran out of money and in 1873, and then about 1878, the Union Pacific Railroad took it over, and they extended the line up to Butte by 1881.
The line originally ran from Brigham City through Logan and Pocatello up to the Butte mines. It was later widened and rerouted, running through Cache Junction and bypassing Logan. Get more on these and other stories at CacheValleyDaily.com. I'm Will Feelright for KVNU News.
UNI Furniture works hard at stocking up on what customers want. If you shop their store and see something you like, you can purchase it and take it home. UNI has a great selection of popular styles of sectionals and bedroom sets. And if you're looking for a chair, they have hundreds of chairs. UNI also wants you to know the technology of beds has changed so much. So if you're sleeping on an old mattress, you might consider a new one. And UNI has the full line of Maloof line of mattresses, sheets, pillows, and adjustable bases. If you're furniture shopping, you'll find a better buy at UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
Spring is the season to get outside and do a project or two. A good place to get started is Stevens Forest Products. Pick up bark, mulch, or compost by the bag for $1 or $2 less at Stevens, or buy it in bulk and save even more. Stevens is also your best source for flagstone, perfect for patios and walkways. Choose from 7 color choices. Pick up a few pieces or take home a pallet. Delivery options are available. Stevens is also home to over 5,000 in-stock railroad ties with prices beginning at $13.99. Stevens Forest Products, between Smithfield and Logan at 3277 North Main.
Adams Wealth Advisors have helped thousands of people create financial peace of mind. Understanding your family, job, hobbies, and goals is how Adams Wealth Advisors earn the long-term trust of the individuals they proudly serve.
This is Craig Adams. At Adams Wealth Advisors, we are here to help you receive peace of mind, whether you've done a lot of planning or a little planning. Count on our team at Adams Wealth Advisors for honesty, professionalism, and integrity.
Visit AdamsWealthAdvisors.com. That's AdamsWealthAdvisors.com to schedule a time with an advisor today.
Agent I broadcasting live from Heritage Auto for KVNU, where they're celebrating their grand opening. They got a ton going on. I've got Ronnie here, the inventory director. Ronnie, what can the people expect out here this afternoon?
You know, we are doing a lot of fun stuff, Jay. I'm sure we talked about it multiple times already, but we have the Mechanical Bull. We have an awesome bounce house. We've even got the FFA out here with the big old bull where you can guess the weight. By the way, little secret to everybody that's listening, it's a pregnant cow. So come and get that insider information to get your weight as close as possible. You can win a bunch of stuff there. But most importantly, we're here to serve our community. We're here to show you who Heritage truly is. And of course, give you as many and as great of deal as we can on every vehicle we've got to offer. And we have a great selection of cars right now.
Not only that, you guys got a raffle going on. Just real quick, if you could win any of the prizes you guys got going on, what would you want?
Oh, I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff for the raffle. We've got iPads, and we've got backpacks, we got computers, and we've got TVs, and we got little toy Jeeps. We got everything under the sun. And I think I'd take a toy Jeep for my kiddos if it was me. But there's so many fun things, especially our Jeep course. And if you wanted to come out and get a ride on the Jeep course, or maybe even drive, depending on what we got going on and how many cars are available, it is so much fun, and your kids will love it. Bring them out to ride that course too.
Come check out Heritage Auto's grand opening. Agent I broadcasting live for KVNU.
He's Caucasian?
Caucasian?
Yeah, a white guy with a mustache, about 6'3".
An awfully big mustache.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People, hour 2 of today's show, Friday, May 14th. It's time for the For the People movie show. I am, Andy's over there trying to signal that he can't hear himself. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
You're here. You're with us. This was...
Physically.
I was attempting to. I had this fancy plan. I was going to lead into the show with part of this trailer for the Underground Railroad series, and the trailer
is this
site that I'm at.
Child kidnapping, child trafficking?
No.
I'm just kidding.
That person actually is in some hot water right now. It turns out that
aren't they making a movie? I heard there it either was a movie or they were making a movie.
A movie either has been made or is almost done, but
with
now
Jim Caviezel?
It's on hold now.
You ever noticed that?
Because some things have come to light about the guy that runs that Operation Underground Railroad here in Utah. That maybe this was just a big reality TV thing for him. And
do you ever notice
some of the stories not true? So the film, as I understand, is on hold. No, the Underground Railroad series that premiered
based on Colson Whitehead's novel.
Yeah, that won. That was his second book to win a Nobel Prize, wasn't it?
Well, Nickel Boy. I think
Nickel Boys
that won first, and then Nickel Boys
was
after.
Second. Okay.
You know if you're a Colson Whitehead,
the trailer site threw me off though. It got me in this Saw trailer loop, and I figured people didn't care about that, so we couldn't start with the trailer.
Hey,
you like Colson Whitehead, right? I read the Nickel Boys. I haven't read this one.
Let me tell you another book. It's an older book. It's like I think 2011, 2012, around there. Colson Whitehead wrote a zombie book.
Yeah.
Called Zone 1. And Zone 1 refers to Manhattan, right? Colson Whitehead's a New Yorker. And it's like, hey, we're going to reopen. It's not like anything zombie. I don't like I'm going to tell everybody right now, I do not like zombie stuff. I think zombies are overused. That's one thing that, I like Zack Snyder. And
he has a zombie.
Yeah, Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead.
Yeah, but I got to be honest with you.
This looks like a heist movie, though, not a zombie movie.
Yeah, so I'm like, if it's more Ocean's 11 than it is, something with zombies. But Zombies to me are not scary. I was
I'm the opposite. They're the only thing that creeps me out. Yeah, I can handle any kind of monster movie, ghosts, all that doesn't really bother me.
That stuff's creepy
Zombies,
to me.
just my skin crawls.
Zombies, I'm just like, come on. That's like if another thing that I think is dumb. Dracula. Anything with vampires is dumb as crap. I also
that one is kind of overdone.
Werewolves.
But,
just that, like, I'll give a nod to the old school Universal horror movies. Frankenstein, The Mummy.
Sure.
That stuff, right? Because they were doing incredible things with limited resources back then. So I get
the original George Romero zombie movies I appreciate because he was kind of breaking ground in different ways. The modern zombie movies, you know what I like about them? It really has nothing to do with the zombies. And I think the Walking Dead TV show, at least the first few seasons, really played off of this. But it's more the whole climate, the environment that everyone's existing in after a zombie. Did you see Black Summer on Netflix?
No.
You should see that because that is a.
I saw the one Cooties with the infected chicken nuggets.
That's hilarious. Except that opening, man, I did not need to see how chicken nuggets are made.
You were like, never
again. From bok to someone eating it, and that's for those who
they're made of toothpaste, is what we learned.
For those who plan to see this movie, it stars. It was a Sundance film, and that's where I saw it. It stars Dwight from The Office, Rainn Wilson.
Oh, I forgot the Rainn Wilson.
And he's hilarious.
And Elijah Wood.
And The Hobbit, Frodo Baggins. And some other funny people. And it's a hilarious movie, but the opening credits are the making of a chicken nugget from literally a shot of a live chicken that suddenly isn't alive anymore, and you get to watch that, and then it's a nugget at the end. And it's gross.
So nasty.
It's just nasty. No, Black Summer... You should give that one a shot on Netflix because it's another one of those that, and also Train to Busan, I think, is another one.
Is that another zombie movie?
It's on Netflix. That one the entire thing takes place in one train car. That's what I like is there's this impending doom of zombie movies, and then it leads to, I think, some cool cinematic moments and plots. It's not the zombies, is what I'm getting at.
I think maybe. So let me
you could do the same thing with Aliens.
Well, let me back up.
If you wanted to.
Here's my main issues with zombies, and actually with anything like this is when you CGI a horde of, and you're trying to make them look realistic and they don't. So, like for instance,
that Brad Pitt one.
So that's based off the Max Brooks novel World War Z.
World War Z, yeah.
Which again,
I like that book.
I can't read diary books. I'm actually having a really hard time. I'm reading Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be the material that is inspired House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
And my issue with this is I'm like, if I wanted to read a history book, I'd just read a real history book.
Yeah.
Because it's like...
Because it reads like a history book.
In 100, before, after Aegon's conquest... At the Citadel, there was a man named...
Very little action. The action's
Jeffrey
just
Beanboy.
Described.
Sometimes I'm like, when he sits at his desk and he's writing and he's coming up with all those names, like, does he just have a hat and like one of them is like a noun and the other one's like an adjective?
That's
and
what actually...
He just picks it out.
So
he's
when
like,
I was...
Willis Blonde Man.
When I was in high school, I read almost exclusively fantasy fiction in late high school into college. It was just what appealed to me at the time. And then there was this day. I don't know what triggered this, but I was in the middle of a pretty decent book, a fantasy book, and I got to the part where a character is introduced and their name is revealed, and I read the name. And I read it a second time, and my brain went, "You have got to be kidding me!"
Names really
I'm done. And I closed that book, and I didn't read fantasy until actually Game of Thrones came out. That was the first fantasy book I picked up after that experience. Years later.
You can ruin a book with a terrible name.
Oh, it can get so silly in fantasy books.
And I don't. Again, I'm not.
Twinkle Toes Dumbledore.
I mean, no.
J.K. Rowling really pushed. I mean, that's one of the reasons I only made it through the first book. I could not. With her names.
It's the same one with those Joe Nesbo books.
Oh, yeah.
And the problem there is you've got this character
a little over the top
that looks Harry Hole is the way
Dark
it looks like.
Sledgehammer. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Sledgehammer.
But then but it's pronounced Hule. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm reading this whole novel thinking this guy's name is Harry Hole, and that's how it's pronounced. That's what it's spelled, Hole. And I was just like, what a weird name. And then I'm watching the movie, and they're like, Detective Hule. And I was like, oh, well, that changes everything.
He's Swedish?
Yeah, something like that. Some place
those
over there.
Nordic areas.
But going back, when I was at the height of reading Game of Thrones in 2015, I was working for a company, and there were so many people that worked there, and I could never remember anyone's names. So I would give them like Game of Thrones-esque names just based on like what they looked like. If anyone that worked with me in times past is listening to this, I just want to apologize in advance
for the nicknames.
But like, there was a guy, and I couldn't remember his name, so I called him Babyface Greymane. Because,
that's what I'm talking about. That is somewhere there's a fantasy novel with that actual character in it. Babyface Greymane.
He had like the grayest hair I've ever seen.
And you're supposed to take it seriously.
But if you shaved his head, he looked like he was 17. So it's like,
Babyface Greymane.
There's another guy that always had food around his mouth, and he had this like really feathery haircut, so I called him Feather Dome Crest Mouth. Yeah, and these are my Game of Thrones. I had this little Game of Thrones universe going on in my where I was working. But my whole point is, I have a hard time with zombies. So I don't know how. We'll see how Army of the Dead is.
To me, it looks like the zombies are incidental.
I hope
in this one.
I know that's what I say this as someone that has only watched I think season 1 and 2 of Walking Dead, and then I was like, I just got tired of the walking part.
There's a lot of walking. That show. It should have stopped at season 3, I think.
I think Walking Dead has elements, the things that make, again, the Game of Thrones, right? You've got this, this is like the new Star Wars for me. You've got this universe, that's full of magic and dragons and everything, but
there's very little of that.
But you care about the characters. You get invested in characters. I think that's, whether it's a fantasy type show like a Zombies or, or Game of Thrones, I think there's a lesson there, right? Is that characters matter. I think even in superhero movies,
what Martin does is so the magic is often referred to, never seen in Game of Thrones, and the dragons don't show up till book 3.
Yeah,
and so I think that's what I like about that's what I liked about The Walking Dead as zombie movies go. Black Summer that I referenced, it's on Netflix. It's actually, I don't recommend watching. It's a spinoff of something called Z Nation. Which I don't recommend. I tried that, and that was just bad. But Black Summer was good. But it's a chase movie. It's a group of people that don't like each other in an apartment building, and they have to get to the football arena. That's it. That's the entire plot. And they're zombies. But it's told, the story starts over from each character's point of view.
Oh, that's cool.
Throughout, and so it's this really fun thing to watch, and yet scary and creepy. And the zombies are again secondary almost to that plot. And there's another one, I don't remember the name now. It's also on Netflix, but he's in an apartment building. He's the last survivor in a zombie apocalypse. It's a Korean movie. He's the last survivor, and across the street there's a girl that's his same age that's the last survivor in her apartment complex, and they're having this
zombie
like teenage courtship is taking place across this, and down below is the street full of zombies.
Interesting.
So movies like that I like. It's not the zombies. It's the impending doom
it's
of
what
that.
It's set against. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
I guess maybe what I would probably I think I would maybe like them better if I classified them as a different movie, because a lot of times zombie movies get classified as scary movies, and I'd probably classify them in a different. Because to me, scary movies are something like, and let me
they're
be honest,
almost more like sci-fi. Like sci-fi is usually speculative, and
that's
why you could take every zombie movie, you could just put aliens in, and it would be sci-fi, and it'd be the same movie.
This is actually a great discussion into the movie I want to talk about today, because it's such a. I mean, it's really this tightrope that you walk to make something that's good. And something that ends up being terrible, right? And I've thought about this a lot.
District 9.
Well, I think about this. What makes
some editing? That movie's excellent.
What brings you in? What pulls you in? And I keep going back to, to make a good movie, a movie that could even be considered, award worthy, and that doesn't mean it has to be, typical Oscar fare, right? But I think to make a movie that's award worthy, you've got to have, the directing, the cinematography, the music, the acting, all that. But it really just honestly comes down to character. If we don't care about the people that are there, even just marginally, then we typically, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just and it's tough because for all the good zombie movies, there's probably how many that are just terrible, right? Same thing, shark movies. I mean, every genre. It's like
if the main character. We've talked about this before with when Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba were in that Gunslinger movie. Stephen King books.
The Dark Tower.
Usually, someone takes a Stephen King book and turns it into a movie. It's going to make enough money to make it worth it. His book. I really enjoy his books. I don't always like the movies. This one was horrible, but it was horrible for a lot of reasons, and that's because of the same problem I had with the book series. I hated the Gunslinger. He's annoying. It's a 7-book series, and the main character is unlikable.
Yeah.
And so I think it's even worse in a movie.
No, you're right.
Because you're sitting there forced to.
Well,
yeah.
And this is a good compare and contrast because the two movies I want to talk about today. There's a movie that opened up on both HBO Max and in theaters. It's Angelina Jolie. It's called Those Who Wish Me Dead. I want to talk about that because that is the best movie I've seen so far this year. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I'm happy to hear that because that book was, I read it years ago. It was a highlight for me.
It was great.
Great action.
Great stuff. Then the other thing I want to talk about is I kind of caught up in some of the streaming movies that have been coming out. And the one I hadn't had a chance to watch that I watched last week was Thunder Force with Melissa McCarthy. and so that's,
I've been so tempted so many times.
Really? Don't do it.
Oh, too bad.
Don't do it. And that's kind of what I want to talk about is, that versus and I get they're not even the same genre. They're not even in the same universe, but you can make things good. You can make things good. And I don't know. I just cannot figure out sometimes why things go south or even why sometimes I'm like, why was that made? You know what I mean? Anyway, but to let our audience know too, the listeners, there are a couple new movies in theaters. And if you want to,
let's tease them a little bit.
Yeah, if you want to
go out. We have a break to get to. Don't reveal the new movies.
We're going to talk about one, but there's 2 or 3 that are out. Yeah, we're going to talk about Those That Wish Me Dead, but there are a couple others you can see in theaters.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
starting to ramp up.
It is. It is.
All right. Find out what they are right after this here on the For the People Movie Show with Andy Morgan of AndyAtTheMovies.com. Continues right after this.
Installing a metal roof has never been easier with the help of the folks at Metal Mart. Conveniently located in Lehigh and Logan, Metal Mart's sales force is ready to help you with metal roofing. Metal roofing adds immediate value to any roofing project. Whether it's a home, cabin, barn, or shed, you'll find great selection and value at Metal Mart. And metal roofing panels aren't just for roofs. These long-lasting panels are great for fences, siding panels, garden boxes, wall decor panels, interior wall panels, and so much more. With a selection to fit anyone's budget, you'll love the value you get when you install metal roofing from Metal Mart. So no matter if you're building a chicken coop or your dream home, Metal Mart has an amazing roofing solution for you. Call today and let Metal Mart help put a roofing package together that's perfect for you. Call today in Logan at 435-363-9001 and see why Metal Mart is everyone's metal store. Visit us online at metalmart.biz. Ask about our great selection of steel purlins as well. Save money. Call Metal Mart today.
Summer is just around the corner. Don't crank up your AC unit before getting it serviced. Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning is the team you should call for quality on-time service. If your system needs replaced, think York. York has the best warranties in the business with affordable financing options. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning at 752-7272 or stop by their showroom west of DI. Online at advancedheating-ac.com.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
Man needs help. Well, I certainly hope this little incident hasn't put you off flying, miss. Statistically speaking, of course, it's still the safest way to travel.
Welcome back to the For the People Movie Show with Andy Morgan of AndyAtTheMovies.com. If you're just tuning in, Andy teasing this just before the break there, We haven't been able to say this for a long time, but there's actually quite a bit coming to theaters this weekend, next weekend, the weekend after that, and summer movie season calendar starting to solidify.
Yeah, and there's things, again, you're going to see this sort of quasi, probably for the next 3 or 4 months, you're going to see this. This is streaming. This is going, at the same time as it's released, especially with anything Warner Brothers, just so we're clear.
And we have to talk about how well that's not going for HBO.
But I think, well, the problem
Later
with
on in the hour.
HBO is, I actually love HBO Max. It's probably one of my favorite streaming services. You know what I mean?
I've enjoyed it. But I was surprised to read today that it's what it's costing them.
Oh, yeah. And this is why HBO's never been into making movies, right? I think what's going to happen...
Seems unsustainable.
Well,
especially as theaters
I think what they'll
start
have...
to open back up, or fill back up.
Well, I think what HBO would rather have you do is, I think they'd rather have you log into their app to watch their original series and original movies. Like when we say movies, you know what we're talking about. It's things like True Detective or this, what's the new one with Kate Winslet, Mare from Eastwood or something like that. Yeah. I'm probably getting that wrong, but that's what they want you to log in. I think they were probably excited with this Warner Brothers. Like they were like, hey, we'll get more people coming in. But anyway,
I'm behind too. I never finished the H.P. Lovecraft one.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember what that was called. Even
we always talk about this. There's just so much, but
yeah, that's what happened.
You can see
I'm behind.
If you don't want to watch movies that are streaming, there are a few that are new to theaters this week. The first one that we're not going to review, but we'll just talk about.
I just realized
I can't say this without laughing.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just, as you said, there's just too much. I just realized I'm still 2 episodes away from finishing The Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I really liked.
I won't tell you what happens.
I'd actually forgotten that I hadn't finished it.
Yeah.
That's how much. I mean, that's how many.
I still
things,
haven't watched WandaVision. I did watch.
I was underwhelmed.
Falcon and whatever. Every time I see that, I want to say Falcon and the Snowman.
I do too.
I'm a child,
that old
80s child.
Yeah, Falcon
Sean
and the
Penn
Snowman.
and Timothy Hutton when they were a thing.
Yep.
No, so there's
action stars.
Apparently, they want to make the Saw franchise into a universe. So there's a
which
movie,
could be done, but not the way they're doing it.
No, it's. I'm going to say something mean here in a minute, but it's Spiral from the Book of Saw, and it's got Chris Rock, which again, not to be rude, but I don't know where that pick came from.
If I see Chris Rock stand-up special, I'm all over it. But Chris Rock in a movie,
and I was under the understanding that he had made a covenant with Adam Sandler to only ever be in his movies ever again, because that's
we knew to avoid them, right?
That's where he belongs.
Yeah,
but he plays this is a serious role. He plays a detective. This is like
has he done that before?
I don't know how many serious roles he's played. This is like going and watching him. Like when you go back and watch The Cell with Jennifer Lopez and Vince Vaughn's a serious
serious
in it, and you're like, this doesn't make sense.
And J-Lo's, I don't even know what she's doing.
I'm so confused right
I'm
now.
acting. Drama.
This also has Samuel L. Jackson in it, which just ruins everything for me. I'm so. We were talking about this during the break. I am so done with Samuel L. Jackson. Somebody out there right now is like, "Hey, man, he's great. Nick Fury, rock on."
Is he though? I mean, I've thought this about him forever. Even Pulp Fiction, Samuel L. Jackson, which is great. And I don't think anybody else...
It's annoying now. It wasn't annoying 26 years ago.
No one else could have done what he did, though, I don't think. He was just so perfect for what they were going for.
And again...
But is he a great actor even then?
Well...
Or is he just Samuel L. Jackson?
Here's what I would say.
In a perm wig.
He was great. We thought he was great back then because we'd only had a little slice of Samuel L. Jackson, right? But now, after he's been in 742 movies since Pulp Fiction, basically every movie, they're like, hey, Samuel L. Jackson, do you want to be in this? And he's like, you bet. Now we just know his big thing is, he's like the Bobcat Goldthwait slash he's almost a little bit like Ryan Reynolds, too. Like, he's just got one switch.
Yeah.
And it's, his angry, I'm tired of these snakes on the plane.
That's what, even in the Star Wars prequels, it's Mace Windu, and then every once in a while it's I think that's the problem, and maybe this is unfair to him. Maybe he's a better actor than I think, but anytime he's in a movie,
it's okay.
You're just so aware Samuel L. Jackson's in a movie, and that's kind of the opposite of good acting.
He is. He's in. I just saw 3 trailers with him in movies this summer, and again, it's because he's in every movie. He's in this,
and I don't fault him for that. I mean,
no, I mean
those Capital One ads.
That's
cash your checks, man.
I never joke about cheese, Susan.
I know. Which actually makes me laugh every time.
Every time I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Because he's so serious.
So done. I'm so done. Right? I'm just like, I can't do it. And I'd rather him be in those Capital One ads reprising a role that he played in a previous movie. Right? But again, I'm teasing a little bit, but I'm also being serious. This is one of those sorry not sorry moments. So Spiral Saw is playing at the Providence Stadium 8 Theater here in Logan. You can also go see the one we're going to talk about, Those Who Wish Me Dead. That's playing there. And then there's a couple other movies that are new to theaters in the Utah. No, the University Theater over by what used to be the Cache Valley Mall is a movie called Profile, which I know nothing about. This is one of those where they're like, well, it's new and we need something.
Yeah, I had not heard anything about this.
Those Who Wish Me Dead is also playing. So
we should set this up a little bit before we go to the news, because Those Who Wish Me Dead, based on a best-selling novel.
Yeah.
By a guy
that I had forgot you told me about last week until the credits started rolling.
I forgot too that I was gonna look up how you say his last name. I think it's Kyorta. It's spelled Kyorta. Michael Kyorta, and I think it's pronounced Kyorta, but I don't know. Anyway,
he wrote the screenplay.
Read anything by this guy.
Yeah, you were telling me.
I've read every one of his
good.
books, and he's amazing. And sometimes he's Stephen King, sometimes he's like an action thriller kind of writer. And
and here's a little teaser.
I love this book.
Here's a little teaser for folks here in Cache Valley, because I know there's a lot of people that love this television program. But the gentleman that's the writer and director behind Those Who Wish Me Dead is also the creator, writer, and sometimes director of the Yellowstone TV series with Kevin Costner. And that's his thing. It's Taylor Sheridan is his name, and he broke onto the scene. He kind of did some minor acting, and I don't think that really stuck. And he got into screenwriting and directing, and he wrote the screenplay for Sicario. Which is a great movie.
Yeah, really good movie.
And then he also did the screenplay, and I think he may have even directed Hell or High Water.
Oh, I really like that.
That's
movie.
another good one. He did Wind River with Jeremy Renner and
I like that
Elizabeth
one.
Olsen. Yeah, and all his movies are set in kind of this, like, it's either like the border, right?
Yeah,
or it's like the West. The great big wide West,
the still wild areas.
Yeah, it's almost
West.
These really feel like to me like the backgrounds that he sets them in, they're love letters to the West, and then they have a movie just kind of pasted onto it, right?
That's interesting. Wind River was definitely that. Yeah. It's a murder mystery, but that's kind of like, by the way.
He did...
here's some cool scenery.
He did Sicario, Day of the Soldado, that movie, which is also... Well, it wasn't as good as Sicario. It was actually pretty good. Then I didn't realize this, but he wrote the screenplay for Without Remorse that we talked about.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he adapted that. So
I didn't see that, but that was well received.
Yeah, and this is getting, I think it's fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. It's getting, I don't know why we even look up to Rotten Tomatoes. It's at 64%. I think that's actually that's probably too harsh. I give it a flat out A. It's actually one of the most enjoyable movies I've seen all year long so far.
I'm excited to hear this because I was so worried they would ruin this, and I love this book.
I haven't read the book, so I don't know. You may come back with a different opinion after seeing it.
I don't know how... this was one of those books that is perfect for a movie. It's an action thriller, fast-paced, but then there's some twists and interesting characters.
Yeah.
We should
let's talk about it more when we
this.
come back after the news, because it's I wanted to, it's very, it just kind of hits it on all points.
That's cool.
I can't recommend it enough.
All right. We'll keep talking about it on the other side, in theaters and on HBO Max this weekend. Those Who Wish Me Dead. We'll talk about it after these headlines with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Thank you, Jason. The news this hour brought to you by Hyde Park Dental. Utah Governor Spencer Cox issuing a new executive order yesterday declaring a state of emergency due to the continued drought conditions. The declaration allows drought-affected communities, agricultural producers, and others to continue the process that may provide access to state and federal emergency resources. The action also continues the State Emergency Operations Plan and the State Drought Response Plan that was activated back originally in March. Meanwhile, Idaho Governor Brad Little says the state's House's decision to recess rather than officially adjourn earlier this week like the Senate will create major dysfunction in state government. Little said yesterday that implementation of administrative rules is going to be among the problems. The arcane but important rules involve everything from licensing critical care nurses to environmental protections to hunting and fishing tags. Alex Adams, Little's budget chief, said that all of those rules expire June 30th because the legislature hasn't extended them. That means time and resource-consuming public hearings will be needed in order to keep the rules in place. Little can only call the legislature back into session if both chambers have adjourned. Well, looking at overall some nice weather. Could see a little bit of thunderstorm activity with some rain over the next few days as we've been in the high 70s today. Tonight we're going to drop into the low 50s with increasing clouds, and those clouds are just going to linger over the next few days and hold on to a small chance of some showers, thunderstorms, about 30% for the weekend, as temperatures Saturday and Sunday staying right around the mid-70s with overnight temperatures staying around the right around the high 40s. And then looking ahead to the first of next week, that chance of showers, thunderstorms will continue as temperatures are going to stay right around the high 70s. I'm Will Feelright for KVNU News.
Did you just build a home or remodel your current home? Well, if so, John at the Duct Hunter says you should have your heating ducts cleaned as soon as possible and change out to a high-quality furnace filter. The dust from construction, sawdust, drywall, and more is sitting in your ductwork. Your furnace filter's probably clogged. You'd be surprised what John has found in air ducts, toys, construction debris, and rodents. Let the Duct Hunter clean the ducts today. Call for a free consultation. The Duct Hunter, 770-4813.
We are the Duct Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duct Hunter.
Hi, this is James Stevens with White Pine Funeral Services. At White Pine, we value compassion, integrity, and service. We are committed to serving you and treating your family as our family. We will be here when you need us most, to listen, to help, and to provide exactly what your circumstances require. At White Pine, we promise to dedicate our time and attention to you and your family. We invite you to come by and meet us. We're confident you'll feel a difference.
We're at the Heritage Auto grand opening. AJ and I broadcasting live for KVNU. There's a raffle going on, tons of fun. You should definitely come check that out. But there's also great deals. Ronnie, the inventory director, with me. Ronnie, what do we got out here?
AJ, we have lots coming on right now. We've got trucks that are still showing up from the manufacturer, dropping off new vehicles. We're really, really blessed that way. We have a lot of Durango. We have a lot of Jeep Grand Cherokee. We have a lot of Gladiator, and everybody loves a good Gladiator. We've got good Wrangler and quite a few of our sports cars and sedans out there too. I mean, we've got some really beautiful vehicles on the ground for everybody to come take a look at. That's specific to our new. When you take a look at our used, man, we've got a huge selection with great values, and truly we're selling everything as best as we can to make sure that we continue to serve the community as well as we always have, and that's our heritage way, is to give you the best deals we can right up front without really having to worry about all the old traditional games. It's our relationships that we want to give to the community because the community's been so great to us.
Come on out and see the huge inventory. Take the Jeep out on the dirt path. The Heritage Auto grand opening, KVNU broadcasting live.
Hey, guys. Whoa, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
You in trouble? Anyone else in trouble?
My dad said if anything happened, I should find someone I can trust. Are you someone I can trust?
Just a bit there from the Those Who Wish Me Dead trailer. You can watch that pretty much anywhere now. This is out from Warner Brothers this weekend, both in theaters and on HBO Max, based on, as we discussed a bit last week, based on a book by an author whose last name I don't know how to pronounce, Read all of his stuff. Really good book. I really like this. Anytime I really like a book, I'm always nervous when they make it into a movie that they're going to ruin it, make it and screw it up somehow. But this, the author's name is Michael Koryta. Someone corrected me here. I was spelling it wrong. It's Koryta, not the Y before the O. So Koryta, Michael Koryta. And honestly, I would say read everything this guy's written. Some of his books go into the Stephen King area, but most of his books, with supernatural stuff, most of his books are just straight up thrillers, but great characters, amazing plots, and this book I thought was just perfect for a movie. And then, Andy, you said he wrote the screenplay, too, for this.
He did.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, he collaborated with
the Yellowstone guy.
Yeah. But, okay. I'm looking at these releases, and I'm trying to. I have one thing that's been a little frustrating, in my opinion, is that the dates. Normally, you'd open up something and you'd be like, "Okay, what's coming out this week?" And everything is so jacked up. I mean, it's just like for instance, so. I
was wondering why they decided this weekend for this movie, For Those Who Wish Me Dead.
Yeah, so what they're saying,
because isn't this seems like it'd be a summer movie?
Well, so here's what we have. So just a couple of things really quick. So according to a couple different movie release places or websites, we talked about Spiral opening up, and that's actually in theaters here in Cache Valley. There's Those Who Wish Me Dead, which we'll talk about in a second, and that's in theaters. I forgot to mention The Woman in the Window. A lot of people read that book. It was a summer read. It stars Amy Adams and I think Gary Oldman, I believe. Anyway, that is on Netflix. That started streaming today. And then apparently Army of the Dead is in some theaters, some select theaters.
Limited release.
Yeah. Next week, we will be talking 2 movies. We'll be talking Army of the Dead, which will be on Netflix and in some theaters, and then a movie that will only be in theaters.
You're going to see this even though you don't like zombie movies, because this one looks like Ocean's 13.
Well, and I'm a Zack Snyder.
Zombies.
I'm a Zack Snyder apologist.
Yeah,
he's
now he remade one of the original zombie movies,
Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead.
Yeah, or was it Dawn of the Dead? Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah,
and they were fast.
It was great. That was actually what put him on the map.
Fat running zombies.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of controversy over that because George Romero's zombies were shufflers. Zack Snyder's zombies were runners.
Yeah, he took it up a notch.
People were aghast.
The other movie that I'll review next week, too, for everybody is it's an Eric Bana movie. That's a name we haven't said in a long time.
Wow.
Eric Bana is a great actor.
Hulk.
And it's in The Dry. It's called The Dry. And I actually just read this book. I just read this book a couple months ago.
I did not know this was a movie. I love this book, too.
It's the
and her other one,
Australia.
Yeah,
yeah.
Guy comes home to go to a funeral.
Yeah,
of his best friend, and then he's like becomes a mystery.
They're like, "Hi, mate, you got to stay," and that's not Australian, but something like that. Like,
I honestly did not know they were making that into a movie. That's how I believe.
Crime, mate. Does that sound like Australia? No, it doesn't.
I really like this book. It was dark though.
It was super dark. Let's talk.
I honestly didn't know that was being made into a movie. I've lost touch with Hollywood. My connections over the pandemic just severed all ties.
It's interesting.
Cruise rarely calls anymore.
Tom Cruise doesn't
Except to
call
pitch me on that Scientology stuff.
I'm actually seeing more movies in 2021 than I've seen.
Just come to a meeting.
That I've started out with in other years where it's been non-pandemic, and I think I'm making up for the first part of last year when
there was nothing.
When I got to like May and I was like, well, I've got 6 movies. Which one's going to be Best Picture?
That was the first movie you saw, if I remember right, after things shut down, was Jurassic Park, wasn't it?
That was the first movie I saw in theaters. I think, yeah,
when they reopened.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. Those Who Wish Me Dead, though, we were talking about this a little bit before. This stars Angelina Jolie. There's a lot of faces in this movie that you'll look at and go, oh, I know that person, right? Because you know their face.
Sure.
But the headliner is Angelina Jolie. She's great. She really is. It also has Nicholas Hoult in it. That's not a household name, but he's, if you like the X-Men movies, he plays the Beast. I think he burst onto the scene with back when they were making all the teen, juvenile fiction books like Twilight. He was in that zombie one where the lady kisses him and he turns into a real boy.
Yeah, that was I saw that.
I can't remember what that's called.
I never told you about my experience seeing it. So I didn't realize this was like a movie for love-struck teens. I just knew it was supposed to be.
I think is it Warm Hearts or
Warm Hearts?
Is that what it was?
So it was supposed to be like, as far as I knew, a horror comedy, and I enjoy those. So those
I wouldn't call that a horror
those
comedy.
Happy Death Day movies are hilarious. Well, it had Rob, the guy from the Daily Show. He was always on the Daily Show in The Office. Rob Corddry, and so he was in it, and I didn't really look into it that much. And so a friend and I went. And had we glanced around at the rest of the attendees maybe a little bit, we maybe would have thought, this is maybe not the movie we thought.
Yeah.
Because afterwards, when the movie was over, I realized that everyone was like 13, and but I didn't hate it.
Well,
it wasn't great.
Going
I
back,
didn't hate it.
I forgot he's the kid. He played the kid in About a Boy. With Hugh Grant.
Oh, okay.
When he was a little kid, he was the boy. Yeah.
Okay.
Then he broke onto the scene with X-Men First Class, and then he was in Warm Bodies, Jack the Giant Slayer, another X-Men movies. He was in Mad Max Fury Road. I forgot about that.
No one's really recognizable in that movie.
No, yeah,
it's fair to forget they were in it.
He was in. Well, no, that doesn't really count. But yeah,
he's James McAvoy's brother.
No, I don't believe they're related.
According to,
if they are, that's weird. I've never even heard that in my life.
According to IMDb, they are brothers.
I think somebody told a lie.
I'm going to see if they say the same thing on James McAvoy's siblings page.
But he plays a bad guy. Another person that plays a bad guy is an actor named Aidan Gillen, who, again, is not a household name. But if you're a Game of Thrones fan, Aidan Gillen is also known as Littlefinger. And let me tell you what, I feel bad for these typecast actors. They're like, we need a guy that could be kind of like a villain and also a complete, jerk. And then they picked him. They're like, how about Littlefinger? Sounds good. It also has John Bernthal, who, again, not household name, but you'd reckon he was the Netflix Punisher. He was in that series.
Oh, okay.
He was actually in The Walking Dead. He played.
I liked the Punisher.
I can't remember his.
They are not brothers, by the way. IMDb has some bad info here.
It's kind of a joke. Anyway, he's also in. I can't think. What was it? He was Shane in The Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I actually have a really hard time with him. He isn't one of those punchable faces, but he's a good guy in this. And the whole
thing is, when you said that, everyone knows exactly what you mean.
The whole plot on this, this because you read the book, is it's basically it's set in like Montana, and amongst these I don't want to call them firemen, but you know what I'm talking about, these tough group of people that jump out of planes to fight fires in the mountains.
That's what I picked this up because I'd read one that I think you're going to read or have read, the Cypress or something tree.
The one I have is So Cold the River.
So Cold the River.
Yeah,
that's it involves a tree. That's why I was thinking tree.
So Cold the River tree.
So Cold the River, and this I'd read that and really liked it, so I picked up Those Who Wish Me Dead when I saw it at a bookstore one day in Salt Lake, because I read the back and it's like, okay, here's this young boy that's running from someone or something, and then this wildfire, and the two are kind of merging in this lady. This lady runs into them both at the same time, and I thought, well, that sounds interesting.
No, it's really cool.
And it was I think I read that in a day and a half.
Well, what's great about this movie, and I won't go too much into the plot, but what's great about it is this is only about an hour and 40 minutes long, and so it's very punchy. It's very fast. Sheridan writes this, and I think this is what makes his movies good. Is they don't sit and explain things to you. They assume that you're a smart person and that you'll connect the dots, right? And they're not even really like trying to leave breadcrumbs for you. They're just, the movie
I like
opens
that.
up and it assumes that you can figure out what's going on and that you'll learn things as you go along as the story. That's what I always love when I'm watching a movie or something with someone and they go, well, what's going to happen with that guy? And I'm like, this is why we watch. It's called a story. It unfolds.
That's one of my few pet peeves, when you and a person are seeing the movie for the first time, but they're still asking you, like, what's going on? I don't know.
What is he gonna?
I'm watching this at the same time.
I have I have a sister-in-law who I love watching movies with because she does two things. She asks questions like that and always cracks me up. But she has this thing where if there's a little kid or like anyone that's like innocent little that's gonna get potentially in harm's way, she always says, if that kid dies, I am walking out. It's so funny. It cracks me up.
I'll be honest with you. I've said that about dogs in movies before.
I'm the same way.
If they kill the dog, I'm not finishing this movie.
I think I went to see.
It was a horror movie staple there for a while. The dog always got killed, and it drove me nuts.
Well, I saw when I was watching John Wick. I leaned over to my wife and I said, if they kill that dog, I want him to murder everyone.
And spoiler alert, both of those things happen in that series.
But
takes a movie to get there.
Yeah,
but
it does. It does. Yeah. No, I love. Anyway, this is a great movie. It's just like I said. I don't know. I found myself just compelled in everything. I couldn't wait to figure out what was happening. I cared about the characters. It was a good movie.
That's very cool.
I don't know if this is going to be kind of an awards thing at the end, but you know me. If I like a movie and I would watch this again. So to me, that's the hallmark of a good movie.
That's very cool.
So again, very good. Check it in theaters, or you can watch it on HBO Max.
It says it's rated R for language, and is it particularly violent, or is it action movie violent?
It's action movie, but it's what I would consider graphic violence, like bullets to the head, blood, stuff like that, brains.
So people, be prepared for that if you're going.
And I think there's a few. I don't know how. There's probably less than 10 F words. That's what always makes me laugh is that, you have a PG-13 movie that has 2 F words and everyone's like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
But if you go to 4.
Oh, you, sir, have crossed the line.
Because I get things extreme graphic
pretty
violence.
arbitrary.
Or language has always been a funny thing to me in terms of movie ratings because, like I said, if you've got extreme nudity or something, I get, okay, that makes sense. But it's like, well, I will watch a PG-13 movie that has 2 F words, but I will not watch an R-rated movie that has 3. If you go to 3,
too much.
I am done.
Too much.
I am done.
It's the For the People movie show with Andy Morgan of AndyAtTheMovies.com. Big thumbs up there from Andy on Those Who Wish Me Dead in theaters here in Logan and on HBO Max this weekend. We'll be back with more right after this.
Western Extermination is your simple solution for lawn care and pest control. Your yard is meant to be enjoyed without bugs like ants and wasps, mosquitoes, and spiders, plus rodents that chew up your lawn and garden. Western Extermination offers fertilization to keep your lawn green and healthy and to keep weeds away. If you have a problem with voles, you can count on Western Extermination to exterminate the problem. Ask about military and advance pay discounts. Western Extermination serves residential and commercial properties. Curb-to-curb services. Western Extermination has you covered. 512-0014. That's 512-0014 for Western Extermination.
This is Dr. Red, chiropractic physician with Red River Health and Wellness. Are you suffering with fatigue, brain fog, headaches, intestinal issues, weight gain, and you haven't been able to find any answers?
I've constantly been fighting with my weight and thyroid issues for more than 25 years, and none of the doctors in 25 years have ever been able to explain to me what Hashimoto's is, what it means to me, and how to manage it.
Red River Health and Wellness can help you.
Today, my life is like the minute I get out of bed, I hit the ground running. I'm ready to go. I want to see what today is going to bring, what adventures I'm going to have without pain and with all the energy to do everything that I want to do.
Our goal is to teach you and educate you so you know how to manage your condition a lot more effectively and you know what to do and what not to do for the rest of your life. With our satisfaction guarantee, you have nothing to lose.
Call Red River at 855-55-RIVER to schedule an in-depth consultation absolutely free. All appointments can be done remotely by FaceTime, Skype, or phone.
Total joint surgeon Matt Olson at Intermountain Logan Regional Orthopedics is the only fellowship-trained total joint specialist in the Valley. At Logan Regional Orthopedics, we teach you everything you need to know to prepare for your surgery and then guide you as you get back to doing the things you love. For more information or to schedule a consultation with Dr. Olson, go to loganregional.org/total joint or call 435-716-2800.
You better come on out to the grand opening of Heritage Auto, KVNU Broadcasting Live. It's AJ Night because they've got deals, of course, on all their awesome vehicles. And in fact, you got someone in your life, a big fan of the outdoors. For me, it's my girlfriend. Make a wish come true. They've got the outdoor Jeep rack. You can go on everything. Oh, man, does it look awesome. On top of that, we've got the bounce house. They've got the mechanical bowl. You can come guess the weight of the bowl here. If you do, you get a half beef inside a brand new freezer. On top of that, everyone that shows up gets a prize. Plus, there's a raffle with amazing prizes like an Apple Watch Series 6, a Samsung tablet, a Samsung 55-inch 4K TV. There's the Nintendo Switch, the Apple Mac Mini. I mean, there's a ton of amazing prizes here. And again, everyone that comes out is going to get something small at least. But enter the raffle. Come test drive one of these amazing vehicles. Maybe get the Jeep out on the dirt track and celebrate the grand opening of Heritage Auto. There's just so much going on here. Plus, they've got the corn dog truck out here so you can still get dinner. AJ Night broadcasting live for KVNU.
That's our time for this week's movie show, but tune in next Friday at 5 o'clock. Andy will let you know what he thought of The Dry and Army of the Dead, both coming to theaters next week. Those Who Wish Me Dead in theaters here in Logan and on HBO Max this week.